Eli Kincaid hadn't set foot in his own kitchen in 3 days. When he pushed open the door, the smell hit him first. Cornbread, coffee, bacon grease popping in a cast-iron skillet. His hand went to his gun. The kitchen had been cold for 5 years, dead as the woman buried under his cottonwood tree. But someone was standing at his stove. A woman, thin as a rail, wearing a dress so torn it barely held together. She turned around, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "Sit down, Mr. Kincaid. Supper's almost ready." If this story finds you tonight, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe and follow along to the end. Drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. It helps me know how far these stories travel. The woman didn't flinch when Eli's hand stayed on his gun. She just turned back to the stove, lifted the lid on the Dutch oven, and stirred whatever was inside. Steam rose. The smell of beans and salt pork filled the room. "I said sit down." Her voice was steady, flat, like she'd used up all her fear somewhere else and had none left for him. "You look like you haven't eaten proper in a week." Eli didn't move. His eyes tracked across his kitchen. The cast-iron stove glowing red through its glass window. The table set with 2 plates. Blue enamel. His mother's plates. The ones he'd wrapped in newspaper and shoved in a drawer 5 years ago because looking at them made him want to put his fist through the wall. This woman had found them, unwrapped them, set them out like she had the right. "Who are you?" She didn't answer, just spooned beans onto one plate then the other, sliced cornbread, poured coffee into 2 tin cups. Her hands were shaking. He could see that now, shaking bad. But she kept moving, like stopping wasn't an option. "Ma'am?" His voice came out hard. "I asked you a question." She set the coffee pot down, turned to face him full on. That's when he saw it. The bruise on her cheekbone. Yellow-green old, but still visible. The split in her lower lip scabbed over. The way she held her left arm close to her body, like the ribs underneath hurt to breathe. She was beat to hell, starved down to bone and gristle, and she was standing in his kitchen making him supper like it was the most natural thing in the world. Nora Callahan. She pulled a folded paper from her apron pocket, worn soft from handling, set it on the table between them. "You wrote this." Eli recognized his own handwriting before he picked it up. The letter he'd written 8 weeks ago, the one he'd sent to the employment agency in Helena because the silence in this house had gotten so loud he couldn't stand it anymore. Seeking housekeeper. Room and board provided. Ranch work required. No promises beyond honest work for honest keep. He'd asked for help. They'd sent him a woman who looked like she'd crawled out of her own grave. "The agency sent you. They gave me your address. Said you needed someone who wasn't afraid of hard work." Her chin lifted. Defiant, even though she was swaying on her feet. "I ain't afraid of work, Mr. Kincaid." "How'd you get here?" "Walked." "From Helena." "From the trading post at Miller's Creek, 40 miles give or take." Eli stared at her. 40 miles through open country in August heat. No horse, no wagon. Looking at her, she probably had no money either. "When's the last time you ate?" Her jaw tightened. She didn't answer. "Ma'am, when?" 3 days, maybe 4. She said it flat, like she was reporting on weather. "There's a creek about 8 miles east. Drank from that yesterday." 3 days without food, 40 miles on foot, and she'd walked into his house and started cooking. "Sit down," Eli said. "I'm not finished." "Sit down before you fall down. I'll finish." Something in her face cracked, just for a second. Then she pulled out a chair, lowered herself into it, careful like everything hurt, and sat with her hands folded in her lap. Eli holstered his gun, crossed to the stove. The beans were done. The cornbread was golden. She'd made a proper meal out of supplies he'd left to rot in the pantry. He served her plate first, set it in front of her. She didn't move. "Eat." "I made it for you." "You made it. Now, eat it." Her hands trembled when she picked up the fork. The first bite she closed her eyes. Chewed slow. Swallowed like it hurt going down. By the third bite, tears were running down her face. She didn't wipe them, just kept eating. Eli sat across from her, watched her work through the plate. The beans disappeared. The cornbread. She drank the coffee in 3 long swallows and looked at the empty cup like it had betrayed her. He refilled it without asking. "Thank you." Her voice was rough now, thick. "I'll pay you back. For the food, the supplies. I'll work it off. Don't need to pay me back for food I already had. I used your stove, your dishes, I know what you used." He set down his fork. "What I don't know is why you're here instead of anywhere else." Nora's hands wrapped around the coffee cup, knuckles white. "Your letter said no promises." She looked at him. Those gray-blue eyes steady now, clear. "Every other posting I saw wanted a wife, someone to warm their bed and bear their children and belong to them." She said the word belong like it tasted of poison. "I don't want to belong to anyone, Mr. Kincaid. I just want a roof and honest work. Your letter said you could give me that." "It did." "Then I'm here to take you up on it." Eli leaned back in his chair, studied her. The bruises, the starved thin frame, the defiance that came off her like heat off a stove. "Who hit you?" Her face went blank, closed off. "Wasn't asking to pry. Asking because I need to know if someone's coming after you." Long silence. The fire popped in the stove. Outside, his horse stamped in the corral. "My husband," Nora said finally. "Patrick Callahan. He's dead now. 3 months dead." "You kill him?" "No." Her mouth twisted, not quite a smile. "Though God knows I thought about it enough times. He got himself killed in a bar fight in Boston, owed money to men who don't forgive debts. And those men, they the ones who did this." He gestured at her face. "They came to collect what Patrick owed. I didn't have money. They suggested other arrangements." The words hung in the air. Eli's jaw tightened. "So you ran?" "So I ran. Took everything I had. $14. Made it last long as I could." She set down the coffee cup. "Ran out about a week ago. Been walking since." "A week? Give or take." Eli looked at this woman. This half-starved, beat-up woman who'd walked 40 miles through August heat to find a stranger's door because his letter said no promises. "The lean-to room off the back," he said. "Used to be a sewing room. There's a bed in there. You can have it." Hope flickered in her eyes. She killed it quick. Didn't trust it. "For how long?" "Long as you earn your keep. 6 months trial. Either one of us wants out before then, no questions asked." "And you won't—" She stopped, started again. "You won't expect anything beyond the housekeeping." He understood what she was asking, understood the fear behind it. "I won't touch you, Mrs. Callahan. You got my word on that." She flinched at the Mrs. "Miss, or just Nora. I don't use his name anymore." "All right, Nora." She stood, swayed, caught herself on the back of the chair. "You need sleep," Eli said. "We can figure out the rest tomorrow." "The dishes?" "I'll do the dishes. Go." She hesitated, like kindness was a trap she'd learned to avoid. Then she nodded once, crossed to the lean-to room, and closed the door behind her. Eli sat alone in his kitchen. The fire crackled. The dirty dishes waited. He didn't move to wash them. 5 years. 5 years since another person had sat at this table. 5 years since the smell of cooking filled this room. 5 years since Josephine. He shut that thought down hard. Stood. Carried the dishes to the wash basin. Started scrubbing. Through the thin wall, he heard Nora's weight settle on the cornhusk mattress. Heard the rope supports creak. Then silence. He washed. He dried. He stacked the plates back on the shelf where his mother used to keep them. When he finally went to his own room, their room, the one where Josephine had laughed with him and cried with him and finally stopped talking altogether, He lay down without undressing. Stared at the ceiling he could trace in the dark. A woman was sleeping 15 feet away. A stranger. Someone else's ghost. And he realized he'd never asked if she knew about Josephine. Never asked if she knew what kind of man she'd walked 40 miles to find. The town called him a lot of things. Murderer was the kindest. Morning came gray through the window. Eli opened his eyes to the smell of coffee. Again. 2 days now. He lay there listening to Nora move in the kitchen. Bare feet on floorboards. The scrape of the poker in the stove. Water sloshing. He pulled on his boots, stepped out. She was dressed already. Same torn gray dress as yesterday. Her hair was pinned up, still damp from washing. The bruises on her face looked worse in daylight. Darker. More complete. Morning? She didn't turn from the stove. Coffee's ready? He poured himself a cup. Drank. Strong. Almost too strong. The way he used to like it before Josephine complained it was wasteful. Nora set a plate in front of him. Eggs, biscuits, gravy. Where'd you find eggs? Your chickens. You got 3 hens in that coop. They were sitting on a week's worth when I checked yesterday. He'd forgotten about the chickens. Been forgetting a lot of things lately. You already checked the stock. Fed them too. The gray mare needs her back hoof looked at. She's favoring it. Eli stared at her. She'd been awake maybe an hour. Already she'd done more than he'd done in days. Sit down, he said. Eat. I don't care. Sit down and eat again. You got weight to put back on. Something flickered across her face. She sat. He pushed his plate toward her. I don't need. You need. Eat. She ate. Slower this time, like her stomach was still learning to accept food. He watched her without watching her. Noticed the way she held her fork. Proper. Like someone had taught her manners once. You weren't always poor, he said. Her fork stopped halfway to her mouth. I was a seamstress in Boston. Had my own shop before I married. She set the fork down. Patrick gambled it away. Everything I built. Gone in 2 years. Why'd you stay? Because wives belong to their husbands, Mr. Kincaid. That's what the law says. That's what the church says. A woman who leaves her husband is worse than a woman who never had one. Her voice was flat. Besides, where was I going to go? I had nothing. He made sure of that. Eli thought about Josephine. About the last months before she died. The way she'd pulled away from everyone. The way he'd let her. I'm sorry, he said. Nora looked at him sharp. For what? For whatever he did that put those bruises on you. She was quiet a long moment. Then she stood, carried her plate to the wash basin and started scrubbing. There's a list, she said, not turning around. Things that need fixing. I walked the property yesterday while you were out with the herd. You walked my property. Needed to know what I was staying for. She dried her hands, pulled a folded paper from her apron, set it on the table. Roof's leaking over the bedroom. Chicken coop needs a new north wall. Fence lines down in 3 places on the south side. The cistern's low, maybe 2 feet of water left. Eli picked up the list, read it. Everything she'd written was true. Everything he'd been ignoring for months. Why do you care? Nora turned to face him. Because I ain't going back, Mr. Kincaid. Not to Boston. Not to men who think they can own me. Not to anything. Her voice was steady, hard. This ranch is the first safe place I've had in 7 years. I intend to make it work. She picked up a bucket and headed for the door. Where are you going? Chicken coop won't fix itself. She was gone before he could answer. Eli sat at the table with her list in his hands. Read it again. Roof. Fence. Chickens. Cistern. All the things he'd let fall apart, because falling apart was easier than caring. This woman had walked 40 miles to find his door, had cooked him dinner when she hadn't eaten in 3 days, had made a list of everything broken and was already out there fixing it. He folded the paper, stood. Through the window, he could see her at the chicken coop pulling rotted boards off the wall with her bare hands. Working like her life depended on it. Maybe it did. He grabbed his tool bag from the hook by the door and headed out to help. 3 days passed. They fell into a rhythm. Nora Rose first made coffee. Eli stacked firewood before bed. She cooked. He ate. She washed. He chopped. Neither talked much, but the silence wasn't empty anymore. It had shape, weight, something almost like comfort. On the 4th morning, Eli was mending harness in the barn when he heard hoofbeats. He stepped into the yard. A rider was coming down the road. Not fast, deliberate. The kind of pace that said, business, not emergency. Nora appeared on the porch, dish towel in hand. Her face had gone pale. The rider pulled up at the gate. Big man, well-dressed, soft hands that had never touched a rope or a plow. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Morning, Eli? Harlan Briggs, the man who owned half the county and wanted the other half. Harlan. Briggs swung down from his horse, tied it to the fence post. His eyes, tracked to Nora, lingered there too long. Heard you had a visitor out here. Wanted to come see for myself. News travels fast. Small town. Briggs smiled. Who's the lady? Eli felt Nora stiffen behind him. My housekeeper. That's so... Briggs tipped his hat toward the porch. Ma'am, welcome to Bitterroot. Name's Harlan Briggs. I own the bank in town. Among other things. Nora said nothing, just stood there, white-knuckled grip on the dish towel. She shy? Briggs looked at Eli. Or just unfriendly? She's working. Same as me. Something you need, Harlan. Just being neighborly. That smile again. Cold as creek water in January. Checking in on our local ghost, making sure everything's legal out here. Legal? Well, you know how people talk. Single man woman shows up out of nowhere, moves in without so much as a wedding. Briggs shrugged. Some folks might call that improper. Some folks might wonder if she's got papers, if she's running from something. Eli's hand dropped to his side. Not to his gun. Not yet. But close. What Nora Callahan is or isn't running from is none of your concern. Callahan. Briggs rolled the name around. Irish. Boston, maybe. His eyes went to Nora. You come a long way, Mrs. Callahan. Miss, Nora said. Her voice was quiet but didn't shake. And yes, I did. Miss. Briggs nodded slow. Widow, then. Silence. Interesting. He turned back to Eli. The smile was gone now. That creek water of yours, Eli. Only reliable source for 20 miles. Lot of ranchers depending on it this summer. Drought's been hard. I let them take what they need. You know that. I do. Generous of you. Briggs mounted his horse. Be a shame if something happened to that generosity. Be a shame if folks had to find water somewhere else. He touched his hat brim. Miss Callahan. Eli. You have a pleasant day now. He rode out the way he'd come. Dust settled behind him. Nora hadn't moved from the porch. Who is he? Eli watched Briggs disappear down the road. The man who owns this valley, or thinks he does. What does he want? My land, my water. Eli turned to face her. And now I reckon he wants to know what you're doing here. Nora's face was gray. The dish towel had fallen from her hands. I should leave, before I cause you trouble. You ain't leaving. She stopped. He's already got his eye on this place. Had it long before you showed up. Only thing that's changed is now he knows I ain't alone anymore. Eli picked up the fallen towel, handed it back to her. That's not trouble, Nora. That's an advantage. She looked at the towel. At him. At the road where Briggs had disappeared. He's going to come back. Yes. He's going to try to destroy you. Probably. And me. Eli met her eyes. That depends on whether you're staying or going. Long silence. The chickens clucked in their coop. The wind stirred dust across the yard. Nora tucked the towel into her apron. "I'm staying." She walked back into the house. The door closed behind her. Eli stood in the yard, looking at the road, thinking about Harlan Briggs and the way he'd looked at Nora. Like she was property. Like she was leverage. He'd spent 5 years hiding from the world. 5 years burying himself in work and silence and guilt. But Harlan Briggs had just made it personal. And Eli Kincaid was done hiding. The week after Harlan Briggs wrote off Eli's land, the supplies stopped coming. Nora found out first. She'd walked to the road where the delivery wagon always stopped on Thursdays, left the money on the post, like Eli had done for 5 years. The wagon came. She saw it from the porch, saw it slow down. Then it kept going. She stood there watching it disappear down the road, her hand still holding the coins she'd meant to leave. They didn't stop. Eli looked up from the harness he was mending. "What?" "The supply wagon. It came. It saw me standing there. And it kept going." He set down the leather. His jaw tightened. "Briggs? Can he do that, just cut us off? He owns the general store. He owns the wagon. He owns the man driving it." Eli stood. "Yeah, he can do that." Nora's face went pale. "How long can we last without supplies? Flour's low, coffee's lower, salt's maybe 2 weeks if we're careful." He looked at her. "We ain't gonna starve, but we're gonna have to go into town." "Town?" She said it like the word tasted bitter. "Where everyone knows you, where Briggs has eyes everywhere. Where the mercantile has a back door and old Ruth Hensley owes me a favor." Nora shook her head. "I should go alone. If they see us together." "You ain't going anywhere alone, not with Briggs watching." Eli grabbed his hat from the peg. "We go together, we go armed, and we don't let them see us sweat." The ride to town took 2 hours. Nora sat beside him on the wagon bench, her back straight, her hands folded in her lap. She hadn't said a word since they left the ranch. "You scared?" Eli asked. "Yes." "Good. Scared means smart. Just don't let them see it." Bitterroot looked the same as it always did. One main street, saloon on the left, church on the right, bank in the middle like it owned everything, because it did. People stopped and stared as Eli's wagon rolled down the street. He felt their eyes, heard the whispers start. "That's Kincaid." "Who's the woman?" "Heard she just showed up, moved right in." "Shameful." Eli pulled up in front of the boarding house. Ruth Hensley was on the porch sweeping like she always was. She looked up, saw him, saw Nora, and her broom stopped moving. "Eli Kincaid. Ain't seen you in town in 3 years." "Ruth." He climbed down. "Need to talk to you." "I imagine you do." Her eyes went to Nora, sharp, assessing. "This the woman everyone's whispering about. Nora Callahan. She works for me." "Works for you." Ruth's mouth twitched. "That what they're calling it?" "That's what it is." Ruth looked at Nora for a long moment. Something passed between them. Some silent communication Eli couldn't read. "Come inside," Ruth said. "Both of you, before the whole town sees you standing here like targets." The boarding house kitchen was hot. Ruth poured coffee without asking. Set 3 cups on the table, sat down across from them. "Briggs came to see me yesterday," she said. "Told me anyone who does business with Eli Kincaid does business against him." Nora's cup froze halfway to her lips. "What did you tell him?" Eli asked. "Told him to go to hell." Ruth smiled. Not a nice smile. "My husband died owing that man money. Briggs took our ranch, our cattle, everything we'd built in 30 years. Left me with nothing but this boarding house." She sipped her coffee. "I ain't scared of him anymore. Got nothing left to lose." "Ruth." "Don't." She held up her hand. "Don't thank me. Don't apologize. Just tell me what you need. Supplies, flour, salt, coffee, whatever you can spare. I can spare plenty. Got a delivery coming tomorrow that Briggs don't know about." She looked at Nora. "You know how to sew, girl?" Nora blinked. "I was a seamstress. In Boston." "Good. Half the women in this town need mending done and can't afford the prices at Briggs's store. You do the work, I'll move the goods. Briggs never has to know." "Why?" Nora asked. "Why help us?" Ruth's face softened. Just for a second. "Because I know what it looks like when a woman's been beaten down. I know what it looks like when she's running from something worse than poverty." She reached across the table, touched Nora's hand. "And I know what it looks like when she finds a place worth fighting for." Nora's eyes went wet. She didn't cry. But it was close. "Now," Ruth stood, "let me show you where I keep the flour." They loaded the wagon in the alley behind the boarding house. 20 pounds of flour, 10 pounds of salt, coffee beans wrapped in cloth to hide the smell. Ruth threw in a bolt of blue fabric without asking for payment. "For curtains," she said. "That house of yours needs some color." Eli helped Nora onto the wagon bench. "I owe you, Ruth." "You don't owe me nothing, just don't let Briggs win." She looked at both of them. "And don't let the town talk break you. They're gonna say things, ugly things, about both of you." "Let them talk," Nora said. Her voice was steady now. "I've survived worse than gossip." Ruth nodded. "I believe you have." They were a mile outside town when the shot came. Eli heard it before he felt it. The crack of a rifle. The whistle of a bullet passing close. Too close. "Get down!" He shoved Nora off the bench. She hit the wagon bed hard. He dove after her. Another shot. This one hit the sideboard, splintering wood. "Stay down." "Who's shooting?" "Don't know. Don't care." He pulled his rifle from under the seat. Scanned the ridge to the north. Nothing. No movement. No smoke. A third shot. This one went wide. Warning shots. Meant to scare, not kill. Then hoofbeats. Riding away. Fast. Eli waited. Counted to 60. Nothing. "You hit." He turned to Nora. She was pressed flat against the wagon bed, her face white, her whole body shaking. No, I'm not hit." "Good. Stay down until I say different." He climbed back onto the bench, clicked his tongue. The horse started forward, nervous ears pinned back. They rode the rest of the way in silence. Nora stayed in the wagon bed, curled small arms wrapped around her knees. She didn't cry, didn't make a sound. When they pulled into the yard, she climbed out before Eli could help her. Walked straight into the house, closed the door. He found her an hour later, sitting on the floor of the lean-to room, her back against the wall, staring at nothing. "Nora?" She didn't look up. "Nora, talk to me. They shot at us." Her voice was flat, dead. "Someone shot at us. Warning shots. Trying to scare us. It worked." She laughed. Not a real laugh. Something broken. 7 years I survived Patrick. 7 years of his fists and his gambling and his drinking. I thought I was done being scared. Eli lowered himself to the floor beside her. Not touching. Just close. "Being scared ain't weakness." "Then what is it?" "Being smart. Being alive." He looked at his hands, calloused, scarred. "I was scared every day when I was deputy. Every time I pinned on that badge, I knew it might be the last time." "But you kept doing it." "Had to. People were counting on me." She turned her head, looked at him. "Is that why you quit after Josephine?" His whole body went still. "Who told you about Josephine?" "Ruth, while you were loading the wagon." Nora's voice was quiet, careful. "She said your wife died, said the town blamed you, said you buried her yourself because the church wouldn't do it." The words hung between them, heavy, poisonous. "That what you want to know?" His voice came out rough. "How my wife died." Only if you want to tell me." He didn't want to tell her. Hadn't told anyone in 5 years. But something about sitting on this floor in this small room with this woman who'd survived her own kind of hell? "Josephine couldn't have children," he said. "We tried for years. She lost 3 babies before they ever took breath." Nora's hand moved, rested on the floor between them, not touching him, just there. After the 3rd one, she stopped talking, stopped eating, stopped being Josephine. His throat closed. He forced past it. "I was too busy being deputy, too busy chasing outlaws and keeping the peace. I didn't see what was happening to her. Eli. I came home one morning and found her in the barn." The words came out flat. He couldn't make them anything else. She'd hanged herself from the rafters, left a note that said she was sorry for being broken. Silence. Long and terrible. The preacher said suicide was sin, said she couldn't be buried in consecrated ground. His hands were shaking now. He gripped his knees to stop them. "So I buried her myself, under the cottonwood tree where we got married, and the town decided I was the one who killed her. They were wrong. Were they?" He looked at her. "I was her husband. I was supposed to protect her. I was supposed to see." You can't see inside someone's head, Eli. You can't know what they're feeling if they don't tell you. She stopped talking. That should have told me. "And what would you have done? Forced her to speak, locked her up to keep her safe?" Nora shook her head. "People who want to die find a way. It's not your fault she found hers." The words hit him like a physical blow. No one had ever said that to him. Not once in 5 years. "How do you know?" "Because I wanted to die once." Her voice was quiet. "After the 2nd year with Patrick. After he'd hit me so many times I couldn't remember what my face used to look like. I thought about walking into the harbor and not coming back up." Eli's chest tightened. "What stopped you?" "Stubbornness." A ghost of a smile crossed her face. "I decided if I was going to die, it wasn't going to be his fault. I wasn't going to give him that satisfaction." "That's not stubbornness. That's strength." "It's the same thing where I come from." They sat there. 2 people who'd both thought about dying. 2 people who'd chosen to live instead. "Eli." Nora's hand moved, touched his. Just her fingers on his knuckles. Barely there. "I'm glad you didn't die." His throat closed. Couldn't speak. Just turned his hand over, let her fingers rest in his palm. They stayed like that until the light changed. Until the sun dropped west and the shadows grew long. Neither of them moved first. The next week, the rumors started in earnest. Ruth sent word through a delivery boy. The whole town was talking. Eli Kincaid had taken a whore into his house. A woman with no papers, no references, no proof. She was who she said she was. Briggs was telling everyone she was probably wanted by the law, probably dangerous, probably the kind of woman decent folks should avoid. "Let them talk," Eli said when Nora showed him the note. "It's not me I'm worried about." She set the paper down. "It's you. Your reputation." "My reputation's been dead 5 years. Can't kill it twice." But Nora saw the way his jaw tightened, saw the way his hands clenched. The town's rejection still hurt him, even after everything. 3 days later, the well went sour. Nora pulled up the bucket that morning and smelled it before she saw it. Something dead, something rotting. She carried the bucket to the porch, showed Eli. "They poisoned it." "Yep." "They poisoned our water." "Yep." He set the bucket down. "Cistern's still good. Creek's 3 miles south. We'll manage." "Manage?" Her voice rose. "Someone came onto your land in the night and poisoned your well. How are we supposed to manage?" "Same way we've been managing. 1 day at a time." She stared at him. This man who'd buried his wife alone, who'd been shunned by his own town for 5 years, who was watching everything he had get torn apart piece by piece. And he was standing here calm as Sunday morning, telling her they'd manage. Why aren't you angry? I'm angry. You don't look angry. Angry don't fix wells. He met her eyes. Angry don't grow crops, or mend fences, or keep us fed through winter. Angry's a luxury I can't afford. She wanted to scream at him, wanted to shake him, wanted to make him feel something besides this terrible patient endurance. Instead, she picked up the bucket and walked to the cistern. Where are you going? To get clean water, since apparently we're managing. She didn't look back. That night she couldn't sleep. Every sound was footsteps. Every creak was someone coming to finish what they'd started. She lay in the narrow bed, staring at the ceiling, fists clenched against the sheets. Around midnight she heard Eli get up, heard him move through the kitchen. The front door opened, closed. She went to the window. He was sitting on the porch steps, just sitting there in the dark, rifle across his knees, watching the road. She pulled a blanket around her shoulders and went outside. Can't sleep. He didn't look up, keeping watch. All night. Long as it takes. She sat down beside him. The night was warm, but she pulled the blanket tighter anyway. You don't have to protect me. Ain't just protecting you. He kept his eyes on the road. Protecting what's mine. The ranch. The ranch. The stock. The water. He paused. You. Her heart stuttered. I'm not yours. Didn't say you were. He finally looked at her. Said protecting you was mine to do. There's a difference. She didn't know what to say to that. Didn't know what to feel. So she sat there with him wrapped in her blanket watching the dark. Tell me about Boston, Eli said after a while. What do you want to know? What it was like, before Patrick. She thought about that. Tried to remember who she'd been before 7 years of fists and fear. I had a shop. Small place, but it was mine. I made dresses for rich ladies who wanted to look like they came from Paris. A ghost of a smile. I was good at it. Made enough to live alone, which was scandal enough in those days. How'd you meet Patrick? He came to my shop. Said he needed a dress made for his sister. She laughed, bitter. There was no sister. He just wanted to get close to me, and I was stupid enough to think a man that charming must be telling the truth. You weren't stupid. You were hopeful. Same thing where I come from. They sat in silence. The stars wheeled overhead. Somewhere far off, a coyote called. I thought he'd save me, Nora said, from loneliness, from growing old alone, from being the spinster seamstress everyone pitied. She pulled the blanket tighter. Turns out the only person who can save you is yourself. That what you're doing out here, saving yourself. Trying to. She looked at him. What are you doing? Trying to remember what living feels like. And do you remember? He was quiet a long moment. Then his hand moved, covered hers where it rested on the step. Starting to. Her breath caught. His palm was warm, rough, real. Eli. Don't. His voice was low. Don't tell me this is a bad idea. I know it is. Don't tell me we barely know each other. I know that too. Then what do you want me to say? Nothing. Just stay. For a minute. Let me remember what it feels like to not be alone. She didn't move her hand. They sat there until dawn broke pink over the ridge, until the rooster crowed and the chickens started stirring, and the day demanded they get up and keep fighting. His hand stayed on hers the whole time. The next morning, Deputy Marcus Cole rode up to the ranch. Eli met him in the yard. Nora watched from the porch, her hand on the doorframe, ready to run if she had to. Marcus. Eli. The deputy tipped his hat. He was young, 30 maybe, brown hair, honest eyes. He sat his horse like a man who'd rather be anywhere else. "I've come to ask some questions." "About what?" "About her." He nodded toward Nora. "Briggs says she's got no papers. Says she might be wanted. Sheriff sent me to check." Nora felt ice spread through her chest. No papers. It was true. She'd left Boston with nothing but the clothes on her back and $14 that ran out weeks ago. Eli didn't move. "You know Briggs is lying, Marcus. I know Briggs wants your land. I know he's been trying to run you off for years." The deputy shifted in his saddle. "I also know the law says I got to ask." "Then ask." "Ma'am." Marcus looked at Nora. "You got any identification? Any papers that say who you are?" Her mouth was dry. "No. Nothing at all. I left in a hurry. There wasn't time to—" "Where'd you come from?" "Boston." "Why'd you leave?" "My husband died. His creditors came to collect." Marcus's face softened, just slightly. "They threaten you." "They did more than threaten." She lifted her chin. Let him see the fading bruises. "I ran because staying meant dying." The deputy looked at her for a long moment. Then he looked at Eli. "She dangerous?" "Only to biscuits that need making." Something like a smile crossed Marcus's face. He nodded once. "I'll tell the sheriff she checks out. Widow from back east came west for a fresh start. That ought to satisfy the law." He gathered his reins. "Can't promise it'll satisfy Briggs." "Nothing satisfies Briggs except getting what he wants." "That's the truth." Marcus touched his hat brim. "Watch your back, Eli. Both of you." He rode out. Nora's knees gave. She sat down hard on the porch steps, her whole body shaking. "He could have arrested me." "He could have." Eli sat down beside her. "He didn't." "Why?" "Because I trained him. Because he's a good man." Eli looked at the road where Marcus had disappeared. "And because he knows Briggs is wrong, even if he can't say it out loud." Nora wrapped her arms around herself. "What happens when being a good man isn't enough? Then we find out what we're really made of." That evening, Ruth's delivery boy brought a message. Someone had burned her supply shed. Everything they'd been storing for Eli and Nora, the flour, the salt, the coffee gone. The boy handed over the note and ran before they could ask questions. Nora read it out loud. Her voice shook. She says don't come back to town. Says Briggs is watching everyone now. Says we're on our own. Eli took the note. Read it himself. His face went hard. "How much food we got left?" Nora did the math in her head. 2 weeks, maybe 3 if we're careful. "And water?" "Cisterns half full. Could last a month if it rains." "It ain't gonna rain. Not in August." He crumpled the note. "We need that creek water, and we need to figure out how to survive without the town." "Can we—" He looked at her. This woman who'd walked 40 miles to find him, who'd been shot at and threatened and terrorized, who was still standing here asking what came next. "We ain't got a choice." She nodded, straightened her shoulders, that defiance coming off her again like heat. "Then tell me what to do. Tomorrow we haul water. Day after that we hunt. Whatever we can find, rabbit, deer, prairie chicken. We preserve what we can, dry the rest." "And Briggs?" Eli's jaw tightened. "Briggs thinks he can starve us out, thinks he can scare us off." He met her eyes. "We're gonna show him he's wrong." "How?" "By being still here when he comes to collect. By surviving everything he throws at us." His voice dropped. "By being too stubborn to die." Nora reached out, took his hand. "Then, I guess we better start being stubborn." He looked at their joined hands, at this woman who'd chosen to stand beside him, who'd chosen to fight. "Yeah," he said. "I guess we better." Dawn came gray and hot. They hitched the wagon before sunrise, loaded empty barrels, and headed for the creek. 3 miles of rough road in August heat. Neither of them talked. Both of them watched the ridges for rifles. Nobody shot at them this time. The creek was low, lower than Eli had ever seen it. They filled 4 barrels, hauling water bucket by bucket, working until their arms shook and their clothes stuck to their skin with sweat. Halfway back, the rear left wheel hit a rock. The wagon lurched. Nora grabbed the sideboard. One of the barrels tipped. Eli. He was already over the seat. They both grabbed for the barrel, her hands on top, his underneath. Water sloshed out, soaking them both. The barrel wobbled, rocked, settled. They stood there, breathing hard, soaked through, her hands still on his. "That was close," she said. "Yeah." Neither of them moved. "Eli." Her voice was barely a whisper. "I can't keep doing this." "Doing what?" "Pretending." She looked up at him. Her eyes were gray-blue in the hard light, wet from sweat or something else. "Pretending I'm just your housekeeper. Pretending I don't feel—" "Nora." "No. Let me finish." She pulled her hands away, stepped back. 3 months ago I was praying for death. Now I'm standing in the middle of nowhere, soaking wet, fighting for water and food and the right to just exist. And the only thing that makes any of it bearable is you. His throat closed. "I'm not asking for anything," she said. "I know we barely know each other. I know this whole situation is impossible, but if I don't say this out loud, I'm going to lose my mind." "Say what?" "That I think about you, all the time. That when you touch me, I forget how to breathe. That for the first time in 7 years, I actually want to wake up tomorrow." Her voice broke. "And that scares me more than Briggs ever could." Eli stood there. This woman. This impossible, stubborn, beautiful woman, standing in front of him, with her heart in her hands. "I'm damaged," he said. "So am I. I don't know how to do this anymore. Don't know if I can." "Neither do I." She stepped closer. "But I want to try, if you do." He looked at her, at the bruises still fading on her face, at the strength in her jaw, at everything she'd survived to get here. "Yeah," he said, "I want to try." She reached for him, her hands on his arms, his hands on her waist. Standing in the road with water soaking their clothes and the sun beating down and everything uncertain. "Then we try together," she said. He pulled her close, held on tight, her head against his chest, his chin on her hair, both of them shaking. They stood there a long time. Then they got back on the wagon and kept going. Because that's what survivors do. 3 days after they stood on that road holding each other, Harlan Briggs came back. This time, he didn't come alone. Nora was hanging laundry when she heard the hoofbeats. Multiple horses, moving fast. She dropped the wet shirt, ran for the house, grabbed the rifle Eli had taught her to use. "Eli!" He was already coming from the barn, his own rifle in hand. He saw the dust cloud rising on the east road, and his face went hard. "Get inside." "I'm not hiding." "Nora?" "I said I'm not hiding." She moved to stand beside him. "Whatever's coming, we face it together." He looked at her. Something passed between them. Then he nodded. "Stay behind me. Don't shoot unless I do." The riders crested the hill, 6 of them. Briggs in front, his soft hands wrapped around expensive reins. Behind him, 5 men, Nora didn't recognize. Big men, armed men, the kind Patrick used to owe money to. Briggs pulled up at the fence line. That smile on his face again. Cold as January. "Eli." "Miss Callahan." He tipped his hat. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" "State your business, Harlan." "Direct as always." Briggs leaned forward in his saddle. "I've come with an offer, a generous one considering the circumstances." "What circumstances?" "The circumstances of your situation. Cut off from town. No supplies, no allies." His eyes moved to Nora, lingered. "No protection." Eli's grip tightened on his rifle. "We're doing fine." "Are you worried? Is your cisterns running low?" Word is you've been hauling water from the creek like some homesteader fresh off the boat." Briggs shook his head. "That's no way to live, Eli. No way at all." "What's your offer?" $2,000. Cash. For the land, the house, the water rights. Everything." Briggs spread his hands. "You take the money, you take your housekeeper, and you start fresh somewhere else. Somewhere Harlan Briggs doesn't own." $2,000. More money than Eli had ever seen in one place. More than enough to buy land somewhere else. Start over. "And if I say no," Briggs's smile didn't waver, "then I'm afraid things might get difficult." "They're already difficult. You made sure of that." "I've been patient, Eli. More patient than most would be with a man who murdered his wife." Nora felt the words hit Eli like a physical blow. His whole body went rigid. "I didn't murder anyone." "That's not what the town says. That's not what the preacher says." Briggs' voice dropped. Soft, reasonable. Poison dressed as honey. "You let that poor woman suffer alone until she couldn't take it anymore. Some folks might call that murder. Some folks might say a man like that doesn't deserve to keep what he has. Get off my land." "I'm trying to help you, Eli. Take the money." "Oh, walk away, before something happens that can't be undone." Eli raised his rifle, pointed it at Briggs's chest. "I said get off my land." The 5 men behind Briggs moved, hands on guns, ready. "Eli!" Nora's voice was quiet, steady. "Don't. He doesn't get to come here and I know what he's doing. He wants you to shoot. He wants a reason to take everything." Briggs's smile widened. "Smart woman you've got there. Maybe too smart for her own good. Leave her out of this." "I wish I could. But you see, Miss Callahan has become part of the problem." Briggs looked at Nora. "I've done some checking. Sent some telegrams to Boston. Interesting what I found out." Nora's blood went cold. Patrick Callahan owed money to some very dangerous men. Men who don't forgive debts just because the debtor dies. Briggs pulled a paper from his coat, unfolded it. "In fact, I have a letter here from a gentleman named Michael O'Brien. Says he's been looking for Patrick's widow. Says she owes him considerable compensation." The world tilted. Nora grabbed the porch rail to keep from falling. "That's a lie." "Is it Mr. O'Brien seemed quite certain. Said he'd pay well for information on Mrs. Callahan's whereabouts." Briggs tucked the letter away. "I haven't responded yet, but I could. One telegram and your past comes knocking Miss Callahan. One telegram and everything you ran from finds you here." "You bastard." "Language, Miss Callahan. There's no need for unpleasantness." Briggs gathered his reins. "I'll give you both 1 week to consider my offer. 1 week to decide whether you want to take $2,000 and start fresh or lose everything you have." He turned his horse. The 5 men followed. At the gate, he looked back. 1 week, Eli. Don't make me come back with something worse than an offer." They rode away. Nora's legs gave out. She sat down hard on the porch steps, her whole body shaking. He knows. He knows about Boston. He knows about Patrick." Eli lowered his rifle. His face was gray. "Is it true about the money Patrick owed?" "I don't know. Patrick owed money to everyone. Half of Boston wanted him dead." Her voice cracked. "I didn't know there was anyone still looking for me. I thought when he died—" "Nora, look at me." She couldn't. Her eyes were fixed on the road where Briggs had disappeared, where her past was coming back to destroy her. Eli knelt in front of her, took her face in his hands, made her look at him. "Listen to me. Whatever Patrick owed whoever's looking for you, it doesn't matter. You're here now. You're with me. And I'm not letting anyone take you anywhere. You can't promise that." "I just did." "Eli, I spent 5 years running from my past, hiding from what I couldn't face. It didn't work. Didn't change anything. The only thing that's changed—" His voice broke. "The only thing that's made any difference is you." Tears spilled down her cheeks. She couldn't stop them. "I don't deserve—" "You deserve everything. You hear me, everything." His thumbs wiped her tears away. "And anyone who tries to take that from you has to go through me first." She broke, collapsed against him, sobbing into his shirt while he held her on the porch steps, held her like she was the only thing keeping him anchored to the earth. They stayed like that until the sun started dropping, until her tears ran dry, until her breathing steadied against his chest. "What do we do now?" she whispered. "We fight." "How?" "I don't know yet." He pulled back, looked at her. "But we're not running. Not anymore." She nodded, wiped her face with the back of her hand. "Okay. We fight. Together." Together. That night neither of them slept. Eli sat on the porch with his rifle watching the road. Nora sat beside him wrapped in a blanket watching him. "Tell me about Michael O'Brien," he said after midnight. "I never met him." Patrick mentioned the name once. Said he was a man you didn't want to owe money to. "How much did Patrick owe him?" "I don't know. Patrick didn't tell me things, just took what I earned and gambled it away." Her voice was bitter, old wounds reopening. "Everything I built, every penny I saved, gone in 2 years. And after he died, men came to the shop, 4 of them, said Patrick owed $500, said I could pay with money or—" She stopped, couldn't say it. "You don't have to." "I do. You need to know." She pulled the blanket tighter. "I told them I didn't have the money. They said there were other ways to pay. They started touching me, grabbing at me. I picked up a pair of scissors and—" She laughed, not a real laugh. "I stabbed one of them in the hand. They ran. I ran. Didn't stop running until I found your letter." Eli's hands had gone white-knuckled on the rifle. "I'll kill them. If they come here, I'll kill every last one of them." "No, you won't." She turned to face him. "You're not a murderer, Eli. Whatever the town says, whatever you think about yourself, you're not. If someone tries to hurt you, then we deal with it, together, but not with killing." Her hand found his, squeezed. "I've had enough death. Haven't you?" He was quiet a long time. Then he nodded. "Yeah, I have." The days that followed were the longest of Nora's life. They worked, hauled water, hunted, preserved what meat they could, tried to live like Briggs's deadline wasn't hanging over them. But it was there, every morning when they woke up, every night when they tried to sleep. Counting down. On the 4th day, Deputy Marcus Cole came back. He found Eli in the barn mending harness. Nora watched from the doorway, her heart pounding. "Marcus! Eli!" The deputy climbed down from his horse. "We need to talk." "About what?" "About Harlan Briggs, about what he's planning." Marcus looked around, nervous. "You got somewhere private we can talk?" They went inside. Nora made coffee. Her hands shook as she poured. "Briggs has been meeting with men from Helena," Marcus said. "Lawyers, land agents. He's drawing up papers to seize your property." "On what grounds?" "Delinquent taxes. Says you haven't paid in 3 years." "That's a lie. I paid every year. Got receipts to prove it." "Receipts that are stored where—" Eli went still. "The county records office." "Which is run by—" "Samuel Briggs, Harlan's cousin." Marcus nodded. "Those receipts don't exist anymore. Not in any record that matters. As far as the county is concerned, you haven't paid taxes since 1880. Nora felt the ground shifting under her feet. "Can he do that? Just erase records?" "He's been doing it for years. That's how he got the Henderson Ranch. The Miller place. 6 other families I can name." Marcus's face was grim. "He drives them out, claims the land for back taxes, sells it to himself for pennies on the dollar. And the sheriff—" Sheriff owes Briggs money, same as everyone else. Marcus looked down at his hands. I've been looking the other way because I didn't know what else to do. But this, watching him destroy people who don't deserve it? He met Eli's eyes. I can't do it anymore. What are you saying? I'm saying I want to help. If there's anything I can do. Why risk it? Because you're the reason I became a deputy, Eli. You taught me what it meant to wear a badge, to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. Marcus's voice cracked. I've forgotten that. Been forgetting it for 3 years. But I'm done forgetting. Nora watched Eli's face, saw something shift in it, something that looked like hope. There might be a way, Eli said slowly, but it's risky. What is it? The original tax receipts. I kept copies, hid them in the floorboards after Josephine died in case something like this ever happened. Marcus leaned forward. You have proof he's been falsifying records. I have proof I paid. If we can get that to a judge outside Briggs's control. Helena, the territorial judge, he's honest. Briggs hasn't gotten to him yet. Can you get there? I can try, but if Briggs finds out, he won't. Nora spoke up. We'll make sure of it. Both men looked at her. How? Marcus asked. By giving him something else to worry about. That night they made a plan. Marcus would ride for Helena at dawn. He'd take Eli's receipts along with sworn statements from Ruth Hensley and the Dawson brothers about Briggs's tactics. If he could get to the territorial judge before Briggs found out, they might have a chance. But Marcus would need time, 3 days at least, maybe 4, which meant Eli and Nora needed to keep Briggs distracted. He's expecting an answer in 3 days, Nora said. We need to make him think he's winning. You want me to pretend I'm considering his offer? I want you to make him come back here. Keep him focused on the ranch while Marcus gets to Helena. And if he figures out what we're doing, then we're no worse off than we are now. Eli looked at her, this woman who'd walked 40 miles to find him, who'd faced down her past and his, who was now planning a con against the most powerful man in the territory. You're something else, you know that, so I've been told. The ghost of a smile crossed her face. Is it a good plan or a terrible one? Both. But it's the only plan we've got. Marcus left before sunrise. Nora watched him ride away, her heart in her throat. He'll make it, Eli said beside her. What if he doesn't? Then we find another way. He took her hand. We've been finding ways this whole time. Day 5 came. No word from Marcus, no sign of Briggs. Nora paced the house like a caged animal. Checked the windows, checked the road, checked and checked and checked. You're going to wear a hole in the floor, Eli said. I can't just sit here. Then don't sit. Help me check the stock. They walked to the corral together. The horses were restless. Blue was pacing in circles, that same nervous energy he'd had before the tornado. Something's wrong, Nora said. Weather maybe, pressure change. But they both knew it wasn't weather. At noon, Frank Dawson rode up. His face was white. Briggs knows. Eli's whole body went rigid. Knows what? About Marcus, about Helena. One of Briggs's men saw him heading north at dawn. Frank dismounted, hands shaking. Briggs sent riders after him, 4 of them, armed. Nora felt the world drop away. How long ago? An hour, maybe 2. He won't make it, Eli said. Not with 4 men on his trail. What do we do? Eli was already moving toward the barn. I go after him. Eli, no. He's out there alone, Nora. If they catch him. If you go, you're doing exactly what Briggs wants, drawing you away from the ranch. Away from me. He stopped, turned. What choice do I have? You stay, we stay. We trust Marcus to be smart enough to avoid them. Her voice was shaking but steady. If you ride out there, Briggs wins. Even if you save Marcus, Briggs still wins. And if Marcus dies, then we find another way, like you said. She grabbed his arm. Don't let Briggs separate us. That's what he's counting on. Eli looked at her, at the road, at Frank Dawson standing there with fear in his eyes. She's right, Frank said quietly. My brother Henry's already riding north, different route. If anyone can get to Marcus in time, it's him. And if he can't, then we've done what we could. Frank met Eli's eyes. But running off half-cocked gets you killed. Gets her killed. Gets all of us killed. Long moment. The horses stamped, blue whined. All right. Eli's voice was raw. We wait. The wait was agony. Nora couldn't eat, couldn't sit still. Kept looking at the road expecting riders, expecting death. Sunset came. No word. Moonrise came. No word. Eli sat on the porch rifle across his knees watching the dark. Nora sat beside him, pressed against his arm. Tell me something, she said. Anything. Just talk to me. About what? About before. About when you were happy. He was quiet so long she thought he wouldn't answer. There was a day, before Josephine got sick, before the babies we lost. Just a regular day. His voice was soft. We were sitting on this porch, watching the sunset. She turned to me and said, Eli Kincaid, I think this might be what heaven looks like. Nora's throat tightened. I told her heaven was fancier than a 2-room cabin in Montana. She laughed, said fancy was overrated. His voice cracked. I didn't know it then, but that was the last time I saw her really happy. Really, her. What happened? She lost the 3rd baby 2 weeks later, and then she was gone. Not dead yet, but gone. Like the light went out and she couldn't find her way back. You couldn't save her. I know that now. Took me 5 years to know it, but I know. He turned to look at her. You taught me that. I didn't. You did, just by being here, by surviving, by showing me that people can come back from the dark. His hand found hers in the dark. You came back, Nora. That means something. She leaned her head against his shoulder. So did you. They stayed like that, holding hands in the dark, waiting for news that might never come. Dawn broke red. Nora was asleep against Eli's shoulder when the sound of hoofbeats woke her. She sat up, grabbed for the rifle. Eli was already standing, his own gun raised. A single rider coming from the north, riding hard. Not 4, not Briggs's men. 1. The rider crested the hill and Nora's heart stopped. Marcus. He was slumped in the saddle, barely holding on. His shirt was dark with blood. But he was alive. He was here. Eli ran. Caught Marcus as he slid from the horse. I made it. Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. Got to Helena. Judge is coming. You're shot. Just a graze. Looked worse than it was. He tried to smile. Couldn't quite manage it. Henry found me, led Briggs's men on a chase while I circled around. Henry? He's fine, faster than he looks. Marcus grabbed Eli's arm. The judge is coming, Eli. 3 days, with federal marshals. Briggs doesn't know. We did it. Nora felt something break open in her chest. Relief. Hope. Something she hadn't let herself feel in so long. Get him inside, she said. I'll get water. Bandages. They worked together. Cleaned the wound. Wrapped it. Made Marcus drink water and eat bread and stay conscious long enough to tell them everything. The territorial judge was named William Foster. He'd been trying to build a case against Briggs for years, but never had enough evidence. Eli's tax receipts combined with Ruth's statement and the Dawsons' testimony was exactly what he needed. 3 days. The judge would be here in 3 days. They just had to survive until then. That afternoon, Harlan Briggs rode up with 10 men. Eli met him at the fence line. Nora stood on the porch, rifle in hand. Marcus was hidden in the lean-to room, too weak to fight, but ready if he had to. You're early, Eli said. I thought we had until tomorrow. Circumstances have changed. Briggs wasn't smiling anymore. His face was hard, cold. I know about Marcus. I know he went to Helena. Then you know it's over, Harlan. Whatever you're planning, it's done. Is it? Briggs leaned forward. The judge is 3 days away. A lot can happen in 3 days. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm done being patient. Briggs's voice dropped. Last chance, Eli. Take the money. Leave tonight. Because if you're still here when the sun comes up tomorrow, I can't promise what happens next. Threatening me isn't going to change anything. I'm not threatening you. Briggs's eyes moved to Nora. I'm threatening her. Eli's blood went cold. You touch her and I'll... You'll what? Shoot me in front of 10 witnesses. Briggs laughed. You'll hang Eli, and then what happens to your pretty housekeeper who protects her then? I protect myself. Nora's voice rang out from the porch, strong, clear. I've been doing it my whole life. Briggs looked at her, really looked. Something flickered in his eyes. Respect, maybe. Or something darker. You've got spirit, I'll give you that. He turned back to Eli. Sunrise tomorrow. If you're still here, don't say I didn't warn you. He wheeled his horse, rode out. His men followed. Nora's knees gave out the moment they were gone. Eli caught her before she hit the ground. I'm fine. I'm fine. She wasn't fine. She was shaking so hard she couldn't stand. You were incredible. I was terrified. Same thing. He helped her to the porch steps, sat beside her. We need to get you out of here. What? No. Just until the judge gets here. Ruth's place, the Dawsons, anywhere but here. I'm not leaving you. Nora. No. She grabbed his hands, held on tight. I spent 7 years being told where to go, when to move, how to survive. I'm done with that. Whatever happens tomorrow, we face it together. He'll come after you, you know that. Let him come. Her voice was fierce now, burning. Let him bring all 10 of those men. Let him burn this place to the ground. I'm not running anymore. Eli looked at her. This woman who'd survived beatings and poverty and 2,000 miles of running. This woman who'd chosen him. Chosen this life. Chosen to stand and fight. All right, he said. Together. Together. She kissed him then. Not soft, not gentle, desperate. Like she was holding on to the only thing that mattered. He kissed her back. When they finally broke apart, the sun was setting. The sky was burning red. We should go inside, Nora whispered. We should. Neither of them moved. Eli. Her voice was barely audible. If something happens tomorrow, nothing's going to happen. But if it does, I want you to know. She stopped, started again. I want you to know I'm glad I found your letter. I'm glad I walked 40 miles. I'm glad I let myself in and set 2 plates on your table. His throat closed, couldn't speak. You saved my life, she said. Not with guns or fists. Just by being here. Just by seeing me. You saved mine too. Then I guess we're even. He pulled her close, held her against him, her heart beating against his chest, her breath warm on his neck. We're going to survive this, he said. Both of us, together. Promise, promise. He didn't know if it was a promise he could keep, but he made it anyway. Because sometimes hope is all you have left. And sometimes that's enough. They didn't sleep that night. Nora sat at the kitchen table loading cartridges into the spare rifle. Her hands were steady now. The shaking had stopped hours ago, replaced by something colder, something harder. Eli paced by the window watching the road. You should rest, he said. So should you. Neither of them moved toward the bedroom. Marcus was awake in the lean-to room propped against the wall, his own pistol in his lap. The wound in his side had stopped bleeding, but he was pale. Weak. If they come in numbers, I won't be much use, he'd said earlier. You got us this far. That's enough. But they all knew it might not be enough. 3 days until the judge arrived. 3 days of Briggs's deadline already burned down to hours. Around 3 in the morning, Nora set down the rifle. Eli. He turned from the window. If this goes wrong, it won't. But if it does... She stood, cross to him. There's something I need to say. Nora, let me finish. She took his hands, held them tight. I spent 7 years being silent, swallowing my words, choking on things I should have said. I'm not doing that anymore. He waited. I love you. The words came out raw, unpolished, real. I don't know when it started. Maybe the first night when you made me eat before I fell down. Maybe when you carved those stakes for my garden. Maybe when you held me in that storm cellar and talked me through my fear. His throat closed. Couldn't speak. I love you, Eli Kincaid. And whatever happens at sunrise, I need you to know that. He pulled her close, held her against him so tight she could barely breathe. I love you too. His voice cracked. Didn't think I could. Didn't think I had anything left to give. But you showed me I was wrong. She pulled back, looked at his face. Then we fight for this, for us, for everything we've built. Yeah. He touched her face, traced the line of her jaw. We fight. The first gray light of dawn came too soon. Nora was at the window when she saw them. Riders, more than she could count, coming from the east road in a cloud of dust. Eli. He was already moving, grabbing his rifle, checking the load. How many? I don't know. 10, maybe more. Get Marcus. Tell him to stay hidden unless they breach the house. She ran to the lean-to room. Marcus was already on his feet, swaying but upright. They're here. They're here. How bad? Bad enough. Marcus checked his pistol. His hands were shaking, but his eyes were clear. I can shoot from the window. Give you cover if you need it. Just stay alive. That's all I need. She ran back to the front of the house. Eli was on the porch, rifle raised, watching the riders approach. Briggs was in front. Behind him, 12 men, armed, ready for war. Kincaid. Briggs's voice rang out across the yard. I gave you until sunrise. Sun's up. Time's up. I heard you the first time, Harlan. Then you know what comes next. I know you're making a mistake. Briggs laughed. Not a nice laugh, the kind of laugh that came before violence. The only mistake here is yours. You had a chance to walk away. You chose to stay. He raised his hand. The men behind him spread out, flanking the house. Last chance. Take the woman and go. Now, before this gets ugly. I'm not going anywhere. Then you've chosen your fate. Briggs's hand dropped. The first shot came from the left. Hit the porch rail 6 inches from Eli's head. Wood splintered. Nora screamed. Eli fired back. One of Briggs's men dropped from his horse, clutching his shoulder. Get inside. Eli grabbed Nora, shoved her through the door. Stay down. More shots. The window exploded inward. Glass everywhere. Nora hit the floor, covering her head. Marcus. I'm here. His voice came from the lean-to. I can see 2 of them coming around back. Don't let them in. A shot from Marcus's pistol. A cry of pain from outside. Eli was at the broken window, firing, ducking, firing again. The air was thick with gun smoke and the smell of blood. Nora! The back door. She grabbed the spare rifle, ran to the back of the house. Through the window she could see a man climbing the fence, coming toward the house. She raised the rifle. Her hands were shaking now. Everything was shaking. The man saw her, raised his gun. She fired first. The kick of the rifle nearly knocked her down. The man stumbled, fell, didn't get up. She'd shot a man. She'd actually shot a man. Her stomach heaved. She forced it down. No time for that. No time for anything but survival. Nora, Eli's voice. You okay? I'm okay, 2 down back here. 3 down front. They're pulling back. She ran to the front window. Eli was right. Briggs's men were retreating, regrouping at the fence line. Why'd they stop? Reload. Regroup. Come at us harder. Eli was bleeding, a cut on his forehead dripping into his eye. He wiped it away with his sleeve. We hurt them. They didn't expect that. How long before they come back? Minutes, maybe less. From outside Briggs's voice, angrier now, desperate. You think you've won something, Kincaid? You've won nothing. I've got 20 more men coming from town. You can't hold out forever. Don't have to hold out forever. Eli shouted back. Just have to hold out until the judge gets here. Silence. Then Briggs laughed again. The judge. You think Foster's going to save you? He's not coming. Eli, I sent men to intercept him this morning. He's not going to make it within 50 miles of this ranch. Nora felt the blood drain from her face. He's lying, she whispered. He has to be lying. Maybe. Eli's jaw was tight. Maybe not. What do we do? Before he could answer, hoofbeats. Not from the east. From the north. New riders, coming fast. Nora's heart stopped. More of Briggs's men. They were surrounded. Then she heard something that made her knees go weak. Harlan Briggs. A voice she didn't recognize. Commanding. Official. This is Judge William Foster of the Montana Territorial Court. I have federal marshals with me and a warrant for your arrest. Stand down immediately. Nora ran to the window. Couldn't believe what she was seeing. 6 riders in federal uniforms. And at the front, a man in a black coat, white hair, sitting his horse like he owned the world. The judge. He'd made it. Briggs's face went gray. Foster, how did you... Your men were predictable, Harlan. I took a different route. The judge's voice was cold as iron. You're under arrest for fraud, extortion, and conspiracy to commit murder. Surrender your weapons, now. This is my county. You have no jurisdiction. I have territorial jurisdiction which supersedes your bought and paid for sheriff. Foster turned to the marshals. Take him. What happened next was almost too fast to follow. 2 of Briggs's men raised their guns. The marshals were faster. Shots rang out. Bodies hit the ground. Briggs tried to run. His horse reared. He fell, hit the dirt hard. When he looked up, Eli was standing over him. Rifle pointed at his chest. You should have taken my offer, Eli said quietly. You can't. The law. The law just arrived, Harlan, and it's not on your side anymore. The marshals moved in, pulled Briggs to his feet, clapped irons on his wrists. Eli Kincaid. The judge rode up to the porch. I've heard a lot about you. Good things, I hope. Mixed things, if I'm honest. But Marcus Cole speaks highly of you and the evidence he brought me. Foster shook his head. Briggs has been stealing land for years. Your receipts combined with witness testimony are enough to put him away for a long time. What about the people he stole from the Hendersons, the Millers, all the others? We'll do what we can to make it right. Can't undo the past, but we can stop him from taking anyone else's future. Nora stepped onto the porch. Her dress was torn. Her hands were black with gun smoke. She'd never felt more alive. Miss Callahan. The judge tipped his hat. I understand you've had some trouble yourself. Men from Boston looking for you. Her blood went cold. I didn't. Briggs tried to use that against you. Sent telegrams to Boston hoping to bring those men here. Foster's face softened. But I sent some telegrams of my own. Michael O'Brien was arrested last week. Loan sharking. Assault. He's not coming after anyone anymore. The relief hit her so hard she had to grab the porch rail to stay upright. It's over, she whispered. It's over, Foster confirmed. You're free, Miss Callahan, both of you. Free. The word felt foreign, impossible. Eli's hand found hers. held tight. "Thank you," he said to Foster, "for believing us." "Thank Marcus. He's the one who risked his life to get to me." Foster gathered his reins. "We'll need statements from both of you, but that can wait until tomorrow. Right now, I'd say you've earned some rest." He rode away. The marshals followed Briggs in irons between them. Nora watched them disappear down the road. Then her legs gave out. Eli caught her, lowered her to the porch steps, sat beside her. "It's over," she said again, like she needed to hear it out loud. "It's over. We won. We survived. That's better than winning." She laughed. It came out broken, half sob, half something else. "I shot a man, Eli. I actually shot someone. You saved our lives." "I know. I just—" She looked at her hands, still shaking. "I never thought I could do that." "You did what you had to do. That's all any of us can do." She leaned against him. Let him hold her. Let herself finally breathe. The day passed in a blur. Doc Whitfield came from town, treated Marcus's wound properly, treated the cut on Eli's forehead, looked at Nora's hands and told her the shaking would stop eventually. "Shock," he said. "It'll pass." Ruth Hensley arrived with food, enough to feed an army. She didn't ask questions, just started cooking like it was the most natural thing in the world. The Dawson brothers came, Frank and Henry. They'd heard about the shootout, wanted to make sure everyone was alive. "Briggs is finished," Frank said. "Whole town's talking about it. People who've been scared of him for years are finally speaking up." "What about the sheriff?" Eli asked. "Resigned this morning, packed up and left before Foster could arrest him too. And the people Briggs hurt. Foster's got lawyers coming, says he'll sort out the land claims, return what was stolen." Frank shook his head. "Never thought I'd see the day." Neither did Eli. Neither did any of them. By evening, the house was full. Ruth in the kitchen, Marcus sleeping in the lean-to, the Dawsons on the porch, Doc Whitfield checking on everyone one more time before heading back to town. Nora sat at the table watching it all. These people who'd risked everything to help them, who'd stood up when standing up could have gotten them killed. "You're crying," Eli said, sitting beside her. "I'm not." She wiped her face. "Okay, maybe I am." "Why?" "Because I've never had this before. People who care. People who show up." Her voice cracked. 7 years with Patrick, I didn't have a single friend. His family hated me. The neighbors looked away. I was completely alone. "You're not alone anymore." "I know." She looked at him. "That's why I'm crying." He took her hand, lifted it to his lips, kissed her knuckles. "Get used to it," he said. "You're stuck with us now." Later that night, after everyone had gone home and Marcus was sleeping and the house was finally quiet, Eli led Nora outside. The stars were out. Millions of them, more than she'd ever seen in Boston. "Come with me," he said. He took her hand, led her across the yard, past the barn, past the garden she'd planted, to the cottonwood tree, Josephine's grave, the unmarked mound of earth where Eli had buried his wife 5 years ago. Nora stopped. "Eli, I need to do this." His voice was rough. "I need you here when I do it." He knelt beside the grave, touched the earth. "Josie." His voice broke on the name. "I know it's been a while. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for a lot of things." Nora's eyes burned. She didn't move, didn't speak. "I should have seen what was happening to you. Should have been there. Should have saved you." He stopped, breathed. "But I couldn't. And I've spent 5 years punishing myself for that." The wind stirred the cottonwood leaves, a soft sound, like whispers. "I met someone, Josie. Her name's Nora. She walked 40 miles to find me. She's stubborn and brave, and she doesn't take any of my nonsense." A ghost of a smile crossed his face. "You'd like her, I think. She's a survivor, like you tried to be." Nora's throat closed completely. Couldn't have spoken if she'd wanted to. I'm going to marry her, Josie, if she'll have me. I wanted you to know. Wanted you to hear it from me, not from wherever you are now. He paused. I'll always love you. That's not going to change. But I can't keep living in that grave with you. You wouldn't want that. You'd want me to live. Really live. He stood, wiped his face. Goodbye, Josie. Rest easy. He turned to Nora. His eyes were wet. His face was open in a way she'd never seen. Eli. Her voice was barely a whisper. I meant what I said. All of it. He took her hands. Will you marry me, Nora? Not today, not tomorrow, but someday. When you're ready. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I don't have a ring. Don't have much of anything, really. Just a ranch that needs work, and a past that won't stay buried, and a heart that's taken me 5 years to put back together. Eli. But I'm offering you all of it. Everything I am. Everything I've got. If you want it. She looked at him. This man who'd buried his wife alone. Who'd been shunned by his town. Who'd lost everything and still found the strength to love again. Yes. The word came out simple, easy, like it had been waiting inside her all along. Yes, yes. I'll marry you, Eli Kincaid. Today. Tomorrow. Whenever you want. He kissed her then. Gentle at first. Then deeper. The way you kiss someone when you've been waiting your whole life to find them. When they finally broke apart, she was crying. He was too. We should go inside, she said. We should. Neither of them moved. Eli. Yeah. Thank you for letting me stay. He touched her face, wiped a tear from her cheek. Thank you for not giving up on me. They walked back to the house together, hand in hand, the stars wheeling overhead, the cottonwood tree standing silent behind them. Two people who'd both thought their lives were over. Two people who'd found each other anyway. The next morning, Nora woke to sunlight streaming through the window. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. Then she felt Eli's arm around her, felt his warmth against her back, remembered everything, the fight, the victory, the proposal. She turned in his arms, found him already awake, watching her. Morning, he said. Morning. Sleep okay? Better than I have in years. He smiled, really smiled, the first real smile she'd ever seen on his face. I've been thinking, he said. About what? About the house, about this room. He paused. Josephine died in here, 5 years ago. I've been sleeping in this bed ever since, like some kind of penance. Nora waited. I want to change that. New mattress, new linens. Maybe paint the walls. He looked at her. I want this to be our room. Ours, not mine and hers. Her throat tightened. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. He kissed her forehead. This is the start of something new, Nora. I don't want to carry the past into it. What about Josephine? She's got her place, under the cottonwood. I'll always visit, always remember. He pulled back, looked at her face. But she'd want me to live. I finally believe that. Nora touched his cheek, felt the rough stubble under her palm. Then let's live. He kissed her again, slow and sweet. When they finally got up, the coffee was already cold. Ruth had left it on the stove last night. Eli made a fresh pot while Nora started breakfast. They moved around each other like they'd been doing it for years. No awkwardness, no uncertainty. Just two people who knew where they belonged. I was thinking, Nora said while the eggs cooked. About what? About what Ruth said. About the women in town who need mending done. She flipped the eggs. Maybe I could do that. Start a business. Use my skills. You could. You wouldn't mind? Why would I mind? Some men would. Some men want their wives home, cooking, cleaning, not earning their own money. Eli leaned against the counter, crossed his arms. I'm not some men, and you're not some woman. He smiled. Build your business, earn your money. Be who you were before Patrick took it from you. Her eyes stung. She blinked it back. I love you. I know. He took the plate from her hands, set it on the table, pulled her close. I love you too. They ate breakfast together. The eggs were perfect. The coffee was strong. Outside, the chickens clucked and Blue scratched at the door. Normal. Everything felt normal. And for the first time in longer than either of them could remember, normal felt like enough. The weeks that followed Briggs's arrest changed everything. Nora watched it happen slowly at first, then all at once. People who'd crossed the street to avoid Eli started nodding when he passed. Women who'd whispered about her in the mercantile began saying good morning. The town that had shunned them for so long was waking up to a different truth. It started with Ruth. She came to the ranch 3 days after the shootout, carrying a bolt of white fabric and a look in her eye that said she wasn't taking no for an answer. You're getting married, she said, setting the fabric on the kitchen table. And you're going to need a proper dress. Nora touched the fabric. Soft cotton. Good quality. More than she could afford. Ruth, I can't. You can, and you will. Ruth pulled out a measuring tape. I've been waiting 5 years for something good to happen in this town. You're not taking that away from me. Eli stood in the doorway watching, something soft in his eyes. Let her, he said. She's stubborn as a mule when she wants something. I heard that Eli Kincaid meant you two. Ruth measured. Nora stood still, and something that had been frozen inside her for 7 years started to thaw. The next week, the Dawson brothers showed up with lumber. For the porch, Frank said, unloading planks from their wagon. Those steps have needed replacing for years. I can do it myself. We know you can, but you shouldn't have to. Henry jumped down from the wagon bed. Consider it a wedding gift. Eli looked at the lumber, at the brothers, at the help he'd refused to accept for 5 years. All right, he said, but I'm feeding you. That's the plan. Frank grinned. Heard your woman can cook. They worked all day. Eli and Frank and Henry. Rebuilding the porch. Fixing the steps. Doing the work that had piled up while Eli was too busy surviving to live. Nora brought them water. Coffee. Sandwiches thick with ham and fresh bread. You're spoiling us, Henry said. You're helping us. Least I can do. By sunset, the porch was finished. Solid. New. The boards didn't creak anymore. Eli stood on it that evening, Nora beside him, watching the Dawsons ride home. I forgot what this felt like, he said. What way? Being part of something. Having neighbors who show up. He shook his head. I pushed everyone away for so long. Thought I didn't deserve help. You didn't push me away. You didn't give me a choice. He looked at her. Best thing that ever happened to me. 2 weeks before the wedding, Doc Whitfield came to see them. He found Eli in the barn mucking stalls. Stood there with his hat in his hands, looking older than Nora remembered. Need to talk to you, he said. About Josephine. Eli's shovel stopped moving. What about her? About what I should have done, what I didn't do. The old doctor's voice cracked. I knew she was suffering, knew she was slipping away. I gave her tonics and told her to rest and pretended everything would be fine. Doc, let me finish. Whitfield held up his hand. I should have fought harder. Should have insisted she see a specialist in Helena. Should have done 100 things differently. His eyes were wet. I've carried that guilt for 5 years. Same as you. Eli set down the shovel. His hands were shaking. It wasn't your fault. Wasn't yours either. The doctor met his eyes. We both did what we thought was right. We both failed. but the failing doesn't mean we didn't try. Long silence. The horses shifted in their stalls. Why are you telling me this now? Because you're getting married. Because you deserve to walk into that church without 5 years of guilt on your shoulders. Whitfield put his hat back on. Josephine loved you, Eli. She wouldn't want you punishing yourself forever. I know that now. Good. The doctor nodded once. Then my conscience can finally rest. He left. Eli stood alone in the barn for a long time. When he came back to the house, his eyes were red. But he was smiling. What happened? Nora asked. Forgiveness, he said. That's what happened. The night before the wedding, Nora couldn't sleep. She lay in the lean-to room, the one she'd slept in since arriving, and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow, she would become Nora Kincaid. Tomorrow, everything would change. The door creaked open. Can't sleep either. Eli's voice soft in the darkness. No. He crossed the small room, sat on the edge of the bed. Nervous. Terrified. Me too. She sat up, found his hand in the dark. I keep waiting for something to go wrong, she said. Keep waiting for someone to show up and tell me I don't deserve this. Nobody's coming. I know. But after 7 years of Patrick, after everything I survived... She stopped, started again. Happiness feels dangerous, Eli, like something that can be taken away. He squeezed her hand. It can be taken away. That's what makes it precious. His voice was rough, but we don't let fear of losing something stop us from having it. That's not living, that's just surviving. You really believe that? I believe it now. Took you showing up to teach me. She leaned against him. His arm went around her shoulders. Tell me it's going to be okay, she whispered. It's going to be okay. Promise? Promise. They sat there until the sky started to lighten. Then Eli kissed her forehead and left to get ready. The wedding was at noon. Nora dressed in Ruth's kitchen. The white dress fit perfectly. Simple, practical, beautiful. Ruth had added small blue flowers along the hem. Something blue, Ruth said, helping with the buttons. For luck. I don't believe in luck. Neither do I, but I believe in you. Ruth stepped back, looked at her. You're beautiful, Nora. Inside and out. The walk to the church felt like walking into a dream. The whole town had turned out. People Nora didn't know. People who'd whispered about her weeks ago. They lined the street, nodding, smiling, some of them crying. Ruth walked beside her. The Dawson brothers waited at the church door. Ready? Frank asked. No. Nora laughed. But I'm doing it anyway. They opened the doors. The church was full. Standing room only. More people than Nora had ever seen in one place. And at the altar, Eli. He was wearing his best suit. The one he'd married Josephine in, she realized. But he'd added a new tie. Blue. The same shade as the flowers on her dress. Their eyes met across the church. Everything else disappeared. She walked toward him, one step at a time, feeling every eye on her, hearing nothing but the sound of her own heartbeat. When she reached the altar, he took her hands. You came, he said. Did you think I wouldn't? Thought I might wake up and find out this was all a dream. It's not a dream, Eli. She squeezed his hands. It's just the beginning. The preacher cleared his throat, the same preacher who'd refused to bury Josephine. Dearly beloved, he began. Nora barely heard the words. She was looking at Eli, at this man who'd been broken and put himself back together, who'd chosen to love again, even though loving meant risking loss. Do you, Elijah Kincaid, take this woman? I do. He didn't wait for the rest. I do. I've been waiting to say that for months. Laughter rippled through the church. And do you, Nora Callahan, take this man? I do. She didn't wait either. I do. Today. Tomorrow. For as long as we both live. The preacher smiled. Then by the power vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife. Eli kissed her. Not soft. Not gentle. The kind of kiss that said mine and yours and ours all at once. The church erupted in cheers. They walked out into the sunlight as husband and wife, hand in hand, together. The reception was at Ruth's boarding house. Food everywhere. More food than Nora had ever seen. People kept coming up to them, shaking hands, offering congratulations. Marcus was there, his arm still in a sling, but his smile wider than she'd ever seen. You did it, he said to Eli. You actually got married again. Couldn't have done it without you. I just rode to Helena. You're the one who took on Briggs. We all took on Briggs. Eli looked around the room. At Ruth and the Dawsons and Doc Whitfield and all the others. That's what community means. Later, when the sun was setting and people were starting to head home, Judge Foster found them. Wanted to give you this, he said, handing Eli an envelope. What is it? The deed to your land. Clear and free. No taxes owed. No claims against it. Foster's eyes were warm. It's officially yours, Mr. Kincaid. No one can take it from you. Eli's hands shook as he opened the envelope, stared at the paper inside. I don't know what to say. Say you'll keep fighting for what's right. Say you won't let men like Briggs win. Foster shook his hand. That's all any of us can do. After the judge left, Nora found Eli standing alone on the boarding house porch. You okay? He held up the deed. This was my father's land, his father's before that. I almost lost it. But you didn't. No, I didn't. He looked at her. Because you showed up. Because you wouldn't let me give up. You wouldn't have given up. I might have. Before you came. He tucked the deed in his pocket. You saved more than yourself when you walked onto my land, Nora. You saved me. She took his hand, led him down the steps. Come on, let's go home. The ranch looked different in the moonlight. The new porch, the repaired fence, the garden Nora had planted now thick with vegetables ready for harvest. Eli stopped the wagon in the yard, helped Nora down. Wait, he said. What? He walked to the front door, turned around. I want to do this right. Before she could ask what he meant, he scooped her up in his arms. Eli. Tradition. Carrying the bride over the threshold. I'm too heavy. You're perfect. He pushed the door open with his boot, carried her inside, set her down in the middle of the kitchen. There, he said. Now it's official. She looked around. The kitchen she'd walked into 3 months ago, the stove she'd cooked at, the table where they'd shared meals and confessions and everything in between. It feels different, she said. Different how? Like home. Really home. She turned to face him. I've never had that before. Not really. Even in Boston, even when I had my shop and my independence, there was always something missing. What was missing? This. She touched his chest, over his heart. Someone to share it with. He pulled her close, held her like he'd never let go. You've got that now, for as long as you want it. I want it forever. Then forever it is. They stood there in the kitchen holding each other while the fire crackled in the stove and the night settled around them. The first year of marriage tested them. Drought came in August. The creek ran lower than Eli had ever seen it. They rationed water, hauled from the spring 20 miles away, survived. In October, a wildfire swept through the valley. They fought it all night, wet blankets and buckets of sand, saving the barn by inches. The chicken coop burned. They rebuilt it together. Winter brought snow so deep the horses couldn't get through. They were trapped for 3 weeks, learned each other's silences, learned how to fight and make up and fight again. But they never stopped talking, never stopped reaching for each other in the dark, never stopped choosing to stay. Spring came late that year. Nora was in the garden when she felt it. Something different. Something changing inside her. She didn't tell Eli right away. Waited until she was sure. Until Doc Whitfield had confirmed it. She found him in the barn brushing the mare. Eli. He looked up. Saw her face. The brush fell from his hand. What is it? What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. She crossed to him, took his hands, placed them on her stomach. Everything's right. He stared at her, at his hands, at her. You mean? I mean? His knees buckled. He sat down hard on a hay bale, still holding her hands. A baby. A baby. Our baby. Our baby. He pulled her into his lap, buried his face in her hair. His shoulders shook. Eli, are you crying? No. His voice cracked. Yes, maybe. She laughed, held him tighter. I thought I couldn't. He stopped, started again. After Josephine, after everything she went through, I thought, I know. I'm scared, Nora. So am I. What if something goes wrong? What if... She pulled back, made him look at her. We don't know what's going to happen. Nobody does. But I'm not living in fear anymore, Eli, and neither are you. He touched her face, wiped tears she didn't know she'd been crying. Whatever happens, he said, we face it together. Together. He kissed her, gentle, reverent, like she was something precious. And for the first time in her life, Nora believed she was. The baby came in December. Not easy. Nothing about it was easy. 16 hours of labor while the snow piled up outside, and Eli paced holes in the new porch floor. Doc Whitfield stayed the whole time. Ruth held Nora's hand. The Dawson wives took turns with hot water and clean linens. At dawn, the crying started. Not Nora's. A new voice. Small and fierce and demanding to be heard. A girl, Doc Whitfield said, placing the bundle in Nora's arms. Healthy, strong, just like her mother. Nora looked down at her daughter, red-faced, squalling, perfect. Eli. He came through the door, stopped when he saw them. Is that... Come meet your daughter. He crossed the room like a man walking in a dream, sat on the edge of the bed, looked at the baby, at Nora, at the baby again. She's so small. She's perfect. He reached out, touched the baby's cheek. The crying stopped. Those tiny eyes opened, unfocused, searching. Hello, little one. His voice was barely a whisper. I'm your father. The baby grabbed his finger, held on tight. Eli Kincaid, the man who'd buried his wife alone, who'd spent 5 years hiding from the world, who'd sworn he'd never love again, started to cry. Not from sadness. From joy. They named her Grace Josephine Kincaid. Grace for new beginnings. Josephine for what came before. Is that okay? Nora asked, watching Eli carve the name into the family Bible. Using her name, it's perfect. He set down the pen. She's part of this story too. Part of how we got here. Nora held Grace against her chest. The baby was sleeping now, that deep newborn sleep that made everything else seem quiet. What do you think she'll be like? Stubborn. Eli smiled. Like her mother. Brave. Like her father. Beautiful. Like both of us. Nora laughed. You're biased. Absolutely. He leaned over. Kissed Grace's forehead. Kissed Nora's lips. And I'm not apologizing for it. The years passed. Grace took her first steps in the kitchen where Nora had first cooked for Eli. Said her first words on the porch the Dawsons had rebuilt. Learned to ride on the mare that had carried Eli home the day everything changed. The town kept growing. New families, new businesses, new hope. Briggs died in prison. Heart attack, they said. Nobody mourned. Ruth passed on a winter evening peaceful in her sleep. The whole town came to her funeral. Nora cried for 3 days. Marcus became sheriff. Did the job the way Eli had taught him. Fair, honest, right. And through it all, Nora and Eli stayed. Stayed when times were hard. Stayed when times were good. Stayed when staying was the only choice that made sense, and when it seemed like the hardest choice in the world. On their 10th anniversary, they stood on the porch together. Grace was playing in the yard, 9 years old now, chasing Blue's granddaughter through the grass. "Remember when you walked into this kitchen?" Eli asked. "I remember you almost shot me." "I did not almost shoot you. Your hand was on your gun. That's not the same thing." He pulled her close. "What I remember is thinking my life was over, thinking I had nothing left to give." "What do you think now?" He looked at Grace, at the house, at the land his family had worked for generations, at the woman who'd changed everything. "I think I was wrong. About all of it." He turned to face her. "I think the best parts of my life started the day you let yourself in and set 2 plates on my table." Nora leaned against him, watched their daughter play. "I walked 40 miles to find this place. Worth it. Every step." She looked up at him. "Every single step." He kissed her, slow and sweet. "The way you kiss someone you've loved for 10 years and plan to love for 50 more. Grace came running up, Blue's granddaughter at her heels. "Mama, Papa, watch what I can do." She cartwheeled across the yard, landed on her feet, threw her arms up in triumph. "Beautiful," Nora called. "Just like your father." "I can't do cartwheels," Eli said. "I know, but she thinks you can do everything." "She'll learn the truth eventually. Let her believe a little longer." Nora squeezed his hand. "Magic doesn't last forever." But love does. That's what Nora had learned. What Eli had learned. What this life had taught them both. Love doesn't fix everything. Doesn't erase the past or guarantee the future. Doesn't make pain disappear or fear go away. But it stays. Through drought and fire and loss. Through the hardest winters and the longest nights. Through everything that tries to break it. Love stays. And so do the people who choose it. Nora Kincaid stood on the porch of the house she'd walked into 10 years ago. Her husband beside her. Her daughter in the yard. Her life spread out before her like a map of all the places she'd been and all the places she would go. She'd survived a husband who hit her, men who wanted to own her, 2,000 miles of running. And she'd found something on the other side of all that pain. Not just safety, not just survival. Home. The sun was setting over the Montana hills. Grace was laughing. Blue's granddaughter was barking. Eli was holding her hand. And Nora Callahan Kincaid, the woman who'd walked 40 miles to find a stranger's door, finally knew what it meant to belong. Not to a man, not to a place, to herself. She belonged to herself. And she was choosing to share that self with the people she loved. That was the secret. The truth she'd been searching for all along. You can't be given home. You can't be given belonging. You can't be given love. You have to choose it. Build it. Fight for it. Every single day. And when you do, when you keep choosing and building and fighting, something miraculous happens. You stop surviving. And you start living. Nora turned to Eli, saw her whole future in his eyes. "I love you," she said. "I love you too." Simple words. The simplest words in any language. But they meant everything. They meant, I choose you. I choose this. I choose us. And that choice made new every morning was the strongest thing in the world. Stronger than fear. Stronger than pain. Stronger than all the miles she'd walked and all the years she'd lost and all the darkness she'd survived. Love was stronger. It always had been. She just hadn't known how to believe it until now. The sun dropped below the hills. The stars came out. Grace came running back, tired and happy, ready for supper and stories and sleep. Eli lifted her onto his shoulders. Nora took his free hand. They walked into the house together. A family. a home, a life worth fighting for. And that was enough. That was everything.